morning, class, the receiving school students and teachers.
Good morning, Mrs. Otabas.
How are you all this morning?
We are very well, thank you, and how are you?
Very well, just like you all, thank you. You may be seated. Now, in the previous lessons, we have been looking at planning nutritious meals. We also did an action plan on how to plan nutritious meals. Now, we'll go through it quickly, and I'd like you to let me know the 5 areas that we have to consider, or the 5 factors that we have to consider when we are planning for nutritious meals, especially making an action plan. And if I can have Violet to give us the first one, please. Recipes, thank you. Shane, recipes, what does recipe include? What is also included in the recipe?
Ingredients and methods.
Ingredients and methods, thank you. Rachel, the next factor.
Family size. Resources and facilities.
Krista, the next one.
Availability and of resources and flexibility.
And Krista, the last one.
Sequence the activities of the happening.
Just tell us what our
Identify the different types of recipes and write up one.
Very good. Identify the different types of recipes. Okay, we've just had Tulanga with a topic activity. And in the topic activity, it says to identify different types of recipes and write up one. So that is actually what you will be looking forward to in this lesson. Before we go to that, I'd like William, if you can tell us what a recipe is. What is a recipe? We have to know that well before we can write up one. What is a recipe?
Written directions on how to cook a certain food dish.
Very good, thank you. And Gima, what is a recipe made up of? What does a recipe include?
Ingredients and methods.
Very good. A recipe includes or consists with ingredients and methods. So when we are talking about recipes, you expect to see ingredients and methods. Now, the type of food that you are cooking, what is that called? What name do we give to the type of food that you are planning to cook? Or that recipe that you are writing about? Or that recipe that you are thinking of cooking that has the ingredients and methods? What do we call that? If I can have Helen to tell us.
Food dish.
Food dish, thank you. So you have to prepare a food dish, and when you decide or when you plan to prepare a food dish, then you think of the ingredients and how to do it, and that becomes a recipe. Now, we are going to look at the types of recipe. There are 2 types of recipes. One is the one that has the ingredients separated from the method. Okay, the ingredients are separated from the... We've already looked at that. This is just going through what ingredients are. We've already looked at that in the previous lesson, so there is no need for you to get that copied. We also had a look at method, especially in recipe writing. There's no need to copy that as well. Now I will go back to what I was talking about earlier, especially with the types of recipes. There are two types of recipes. One has the ingredients separated from the method. The other has the methods and the ingredients all in one. So we will have a look at the first one, which is ingredients and the method is separated. Now this is where you have the ingredients. Okay, they are separated. You have the list of food that you need for whatever you plan to cook. And you have the method. Okay, so you have your method. So this is the first type of recipe. Once again, where you have the ingredients separated from the method. We just have a sample of a recipe that has the ingredients separated from the method. However, it's not very clear, but that's just a sample for you to see how that type of recipe looks like. Now, our next recipe is a recipe where the ingredients and method are all in one. Where the ingredients and the methods are all in one. Now, our friends who are sitting very close to the screen are group 1 will tell us what type of ingredients are involved in that recipe. What type of ingredients? Let's have Brandon to tell us the first one.
Pawpaw.
Okay, so we have pawpaw. Nanadai, the next one.
Vinegar.
Vinegar. Patricia.
Sugar.
Sugar. Harold.
Spice.
Okay. Spices. Example like ginger. So these are the ingredients we have. However, those ingredients haven't been separated like the first recipe. The first recipe, it separated the ingredients and the method. Now the second one had everything in one, where you have to look around to find where those ingredients are. So there are two types of recipes. So whichever you decide to use, you can always use either the first one or the second one. However, it's good to have or good to use the first one where you separate the ingredients from the method. Okay, let me get back to Quarry. If you can tell us what the first type of recipe. What is the first type of recipe?
Ingredients and the method is separated.
Very good. Where the ingredients and the methods are separated. Let's have Daira. The second type. Second type of recipe.
Ingredients and the method is all in one.
Okay, the ingredients and the method is all in one. Now our lesson activity, you will be working in your groups. And in groups you discuss about the types of food dishes that can be cooked using local food. Now, in your groups, everyone must have a different type of recipe done, not the same one. So if there are 7 of you in the group, you are expected to have 7 different types of recipes on different food dishes. Now, second activity, it says you are individually to write up a recipe of your own. Now, in the previous lesson, you were reminded to at least ask around for your mothers or female relatives to at least help you in one type of recipe that you could write up. So you should have that with you to help you in this activity. Now, if I can have the runners to come and get your papers. Now, to the receiving school students, while your friends in the model school, your friends are having their recipes done, I'd like you also to work on yours too. You have to get how many you have in the group, 1 for each. You count how many of you in the group? Okay, get 1. Harold, how many did you get? Are you supposed to get for everyone in your group? Use your pen or pencil to write with. Don't use markers. Can I make myself clear once again? The activities that you are to do, it's very clear there. Firstly, you are to discuss in your groups the type of food dishes that you will be writing your recipe on. Okay? So everyone in the group must have a different recipe to write. And after that, once you have discussed about it, then every one of you individually, you write up your own recipe. Now, once again to the receiving school students, while your friends are having their recipes written up, I would also like you to do the same activity. So in your own classes, you have your own recipes written up while your friends are having theirs done. Who is missing from here? Messi. So Messi will have to do hers, but the 5 of you will have to decide now. You discuss about it. So what you have come up with now, you have to tell your friends that, oh, this is my food dish, okay? And then tell your friends, I'm going to write about, my recipe is going to be on this food dish, okay? So nobody is doing whatever you are doing, so you all have a different one to work on. Okay, then once you have all known whatever your friend is in the group is writing about, then you have yours written now. So in writing a recipe, you mustn't forget that there has to be ingredients and method. So you either follow the first type of recipe or the second one. First one is the one that, Harold? First one is the one that, first type of recipe? First type of recipe, Patricia? Yeah, good. Ingredients and methods are separated. Second one is where they are all in one. So you decide which one you want to do, you can. But I would say the first one is a good one. You try to use that one. Okay. Yeah. Have you all discussed about your food dishes? Violet, you and your friends, you already discussed about the food dishes you are writing your recipes on. Are they all different?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you now work on your recipe. Now, your recipe, we looked at two types of recipes, okay? One had what, Trisha? One type of recipe? There are two types of recipes we looked at. Who? Elisa? Justin? One type of recipe? We looked at two, so give me one of them. Are separated and another all in one. So you decide which type of recipe you can use. But I would say the first one is good. You have all the ingredients separated and the method. Okay, so you start working on that on the papers that you have been given. Have you all? You all know which food dishes you are all writing your recipes on good. And are they all different? Okay, very good. So now you start working on your recipes now, your own recipe. So what's yours? What's your food dish? Good, nice. So it has to, don't forget that your recipe, you are to use local foods, okay? Food that can be found in the area that we live. Now, like in your case, you live in the city, but so you can decide local and commercially produced together. But like Linda's is using local foods for hers, okay? Okay, you have your recipe name of your food dish, okay? So you have your food dish. Okay, let me see. Others may be having that too. So now, class, if I can have your attention again. For you to write your recipes, also to receiving school students to take note that whatever food dish you are writing your recipe on, you have to write that food dish down, okay? So like the example we had earlier in the lesson, it says, okay, that is the food dish example. So, oh, there's something missing there. Pawpaw pickle is the food dish, and then we have the ingredients listed, then the method. So have your food dish on. Let's see if Linda, if you can tell us what your food dish is. So let's have Linda's food dish up.
Coconut and sago banana.
Okay, that is Linda's food dish. She's using local foods. Here says coconut and sago cake or biscuit or whatever. And so the food dish, the name of your food dish must be written, and basing on the food dish, you have your recipe done with your ingredients and your method. So please, I'd like you to take note of that and have it done like that. What's yours, Junior? What's your food dish?
Mine is banana chips.
Banana chips, okay. And Junior still thinking. And yours, Quarry? What? Sago. Okay, what are you? Just sago or what? Sago with something. Listen, it says food in your local area or where you live. So like in your case, our friends in the rural areas, because where they live, they have plenty of local food, so they can have it. But like you can have a mixture of local and commercially produced food because you are living in the city, okay? Gima, what's your food dish? Roasted chicken. And your food dish? Come on. And Hayano? Yours? Potato salad. Okay. What's yours? Your dish? The food dish you are going to what? Oh, nice. Good. And what about you, Tanabi? Your food dish? Oh, nice. So how it's called in language, you have that name written. So it says pariwa, so you have pariwa written. But once you have your ingredients, then we will, and your method, then we will know the type of dish that is. Okay, and Francis, yours? Fried banana. Okay, and Gay? Fruit salad. And Raylene? What? I can't hear you. Oh, you were given enough time in the previous lesson to think about it. How about Daira? What's your food dish? Okay, you think about something to do with fish, maybe a food dish with fish. How to cook it, or something like that. You think about it. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's see, William, what's your food dish? Oh, nice. That's in language, huh? So what's that? It's okay. Okay, thank you. And Regina? I can hear you. What did you say yours is? You haven't what? And you? And Rachel? In language. But if you can just have your ingredients and methods written, and maybe you could ask again, so you know the food dish, name of the food dish. Okay, good. William, you get ready, but I will let you go and talk about your food dish. Oh, okay. And your food dish? Banana sago. Okay. Okay. Helen, what's your food dish?
Sago, banana, and coconut. In my dad's place, they call it sojo, but in here they call it salsa.
Okay. Okay, that's the same one. William is doing it, but I asked him and he said he doesn't really know it, so can you come and what? I just want to just for our lesson today, just briefly tell your friends about that food dish. Okay, yeah. Shane, can you briefly tell your friends about your food dish for our lesson today? Okay, yeah. Now we will have two of our friends, our class friends. We are all now working on our individual recipes, writing on our own individual recipes. Now I will have Shane and Helen. Helen and Shane will tell us about the local dish they are writing recipe on, and they will briefly tell us about those the food dishes that they are writing the recipes on. So if I can have Helen to come and let us know of the food dish that she's writing her recipe on. Helen? Yeah. Okay, when Helen and Shane, they're going to let us know what the food dish is called in their language and in English, and they tell us where the food dish is from which part of the country, and then briefly tell us what it's all about. From which place? Write it underneath.
So remember space underneath.
Yeah, write it there. Okay, not Solomon's, but which part of not Solomon's? You are from an island, so you have to write there. Okay, so we have Helen with a food dish, which is, you can see it up there, and where it's from. She will briefly, she's not going to tell us the ingredients and the methods. Just briefly tell us what it's all about.
Okay, the food dish that is really popular in my village is sago, banana, and coconut. In our place, we call it saucer, which is, maybe you guys will know it as saksak. Basically, you mix the banana and sago together, and then put it into, wrap it up with banana leaves and put it into a pot with water to boil, and then the coconut, you scrape it, and you just squeeze out the cream and put it onto the frying pan and let it boil. And then after the sago and banana is boiled, take it out and dip it into the coconut. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Helen. So that is the food dish. Sago, banana, and coconut, but in their language they call it sosoro. It's from Motlok Island in North Solomon's province. Thank you. We'll have Shane. Okay, if you can have yours written underneath your food dish. And write your areas. Okay, thank you. Shane will let us know of the food dish, what it's called in his language, and which part of a province it's from, the province, and which part of that province. Thank you.
Okay, my food dish, the name of my food dish is talautua. It's usually made in Millen Bay during the dry seasons or the wet seasons. It's a very simple recipe that we use. We just use coconut and pineapple, that's all. What we do is the young coconut, we get the young coconut from inside, scrape it out, put it in a dish with the coconut juice, and get a ripe pineapple, chop it in small pieces, and put it in the dish, mix it together, and put it for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you can drink it or you can have it. It's sweet, nice, and it's very, very good. I mean, it's full of nutritious vitamins and minerals.
Okay, good, thank you. I'd like the class to give a hand to Helen and Shane. Okay, thank you. Now, this is to the receiving school students and the teachers, and even the class. We have an assessment task, and this assessment task is on writing up a recipe book. And we will be writing this recipe book using our lessons, and we've started in this lesson in writing our individual recipes. And as we go along, we will continue to work on this recipe book until we complete it. And here I'd like the teachers to just record the assessment task and the criteria as we go through. Okay, so if I can have the teachers in the receiving schools and students to as well have that assessment task recorded. And firstly, we have the instruction. Now, the first instruction says individually draw up or formulate a recipe of your own, and that is what we have done in this lesson. In the next lesson, we will be writing up recipes that other group members have written, and as we go along in the next few lessons, we should be able to get our recipe book done and completed with. We have our third, fourth, and fifth instructions there. So I'd like the receiving school students and the teachers to have that recorded as well. Now the third one, it says, write the content and number the pages. Fourth instruction, it says, have the cover done with suitable pictures. And the fifth instruction says, have suitable pictures for each recipe. So this is actually what we will be doing once again in the next few lessons that we will be having. Now, teachers, we also have our criteria for this assessment task. And once again, I'd like you to also record these criteria down. Now, our criteria says your cookery book or recipe book will include title, which is 1 mark, a good cover or a suitable cover for that recipe book, that will be 2 marks. Content, there has to be a content in that recipe book, and that content worth 2 marks. The pages of that recipe book must be numbered, and that is 1 mark. Now, we also have, students will have to have 7 recipes written up using local foods or foods available in the area that you live in. And it says there will be 2 marks for each of those recipes. So if there are 7 recipes, then that 7 recipes should be 14 marks altogether. You also have to have suitable pictures for each recipe. Whatever recipe is written, there must be a picture for that recipe that is written up. Now you also see it says others. Now others, it doesn't have to do with the recipe, actually the recipe book. Now this is away from the recipe book. Generally looking at the work the students have done or the efforts the students have put to that recipe book, you are also here to use as a criteria to see if the students have followed the instructions well to do that recipe book. And that is 1 mark. Also, the neatness of the work that the students have done, that is also 1 mark. Now, teachers, we also have to consider the efforts the students have put into making this recipe book. So I have 2 marks for the efforts, but you can decide on whatever mark that you can give to your students. Now, that is with our assessment task and criteria for this recipe book that we will be working on in the next 2 to 3 lessons. And before we finish, let's have a look at once again, Aloysia, at the 2 types of recipes, if you can give me one of them. And I'd like Brendan to give me the next one when we get the first one from Aloysia. There are 2 types of recipes. Give us one.
Ingredients.
Okay, the one that has, Aloysia, I can't get you clearly.
Ingredients and the methods is separated.
Okay, the recipe that has the ingredients and the methods separated. And Brendan, the next one?
Ingredients and methods all in one.
Okay, they are all in one. The ingredients and the method is all in one. Let's have a key phrase from Teresa. A key phrase for this lesson from Teresa.
Recipe writing.
Okay, recipe writing or formulating recipes. Our next lesson will be still on recipe writing. However, this time we will be working in groups. Okay, the first one, the one that we just had, individual recipes. The next one is going to be on group work. Whatever you have all done, you are going to share that with each other. So you write each other's recipes. And with that, good morning, class, the receiving school students and teachers.
Receiving schools, here's your reference for the next lesson: strand, substrand, outcome, topic, materials, and reference.